Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the requested black smoky eye. I was wearing something similar to this. I decided to throw it on just so that you guys know. It's the black smoky eye look. This video is a mix of new product and old favorites. I tested a bunch of new stuff for you guys that I wanted to show on camera. Plus, I fell back in love with some old favorites that I was dying to use again in a video. So it's a little bit of both in case you want to see something new, something old, something blue. Are we getting married? What's going on? I know black smoky eyes are really intimidating. They're probably the hardest thing for me to personally do. I only wear them a couple times a year. This year is an exception. I've been wearing a black smoky eye quite a bit lately, so I feel like I've perfected it with brushes, techniques, and things I want to share with you, little tips and tricks that I feel like will make it easier for you to perfect your own black smoky eye. So if you want to stay tuned and see how I created this entire look, then just keep watching. Today I'm showing you guys how I do my black smoky eye, and I always like to start with my eyes first when I'm doing a black smoky eye, only because if you get any black on your face, you can try and clean it up, but I always think it doesn't look as good after. So I do recommend doing your eyes first, unless you feel very confident you're not gonna have any fallout, but that never happens to me. I already have my brows base on my eyes. I'll list all the products down below, and I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette, and I'm going to be using Noir, Dystopian, and Birch as my three colors. I'm not doing too many colors for this look, but if you also have the Soft Glam palette, I know that one's really popular as well. It has Noir in it. That's the main shade. It's a black, and you can pretty much use any other color for some transition. For this Birch shade, you can use MAC Uninterrupted if you have that color, and a black shadow. You don't need to go out and buy these palettes. There's a bunch of different options if you have a favorite black, but this one is the one I'm going to be using. Starting off with Birch, I'm just going to take a little fluffy brush. This is a Smith 230. I'm going to build up my crease first. It's easier to lay down the color before you put the black for the crease, so I'm going to do that. Looking down in my mirror, I can see all my lid space. Just going to go back and forth. And typically, for my eye shape, I like to wing eyeshadow looks out. But for my black smoky eye, I'm going to keep it more rounded. So I'm going to bring it down instead of going out like I typically do. I also like to keep extra clean brushes on hand with no additional product, just to help with blending, especially for black. It's virtually impossible to take back any black you put down. So I always like to blend out with clean blending brushes as opposed to one that has a little trace of black once I'm working with that color. Now to pack on Noir, I'm using this brush. It's like a slightly larger smudge brush if you have a smudger brush. The key for brushes is just to kind of match them to the size of your eyes, and I prefer to work with smaller brushes when I'm doing a black smoky eye compared to the regular size brushes I use, and I tend to use more fluffy ones. I like to keep it pretty compact, especially for my eye size. So depending if you have larger or smaller eyes than mine, I'd say mine are kind of average, then I would adjust your brush size accordingly, and it's going to make it a little bit easier for you. So this is the 226 Smudger brush. This is Sigma E20, and this is compared to my Zoeva. You can see that the Zoeva one is slightly larger than just a traditional size smudger brush. So it's a little bit smaller than an eyeshadow brush, a little bit bigger than a smudger brush, but this is their smudger, and I think it's perfect for black smoky eyes. So I'm going to be using this for my eye and just pack the color on there. And the key for me is to press the shadow on. You don't want to do any swiping motions. You just want to get that pigment down on your eye. And you want to keep it below the crease of your eye, your natural crease, because we're going to blend it up into the crease, but you don't want to put it too high, because that's when you can start looking like you have a black eye. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like to try and get it similar to the shape just under the crease of my eye. And that's why this brush helps, the smudger, because it's rounded just like the crease of your eye. So I feel like that's what helps pack the color on. There's always a stage in a black smoky eye, several stages for me, that looks really bad. And this is the stage where I'm just like, man, this looks awful. It's like abort mission, but really, it's all about the blending. I do tend to work one eye at a time if you're starting out, but I've done this look so many times that I'm just gonna go ahead and pack it on the other eye. So I do find the noir shade from ABH has a bit of fallout, but it is very easy to blend, so that's why I like to work with it. And I'd rather clean up my face after and have something easier to blend than not. So now that you want to stop to blend out the black into the crease, I first like to start with a clean dome brush, and here are some options. This is my favorite one, and it's from Makeup Geek, and you can see the size comparison compared to these other dome brushes, and if you can hear my children, I'm so sorry. They're so loud. I'm not sure if they still make it, but it is called a pointed crease brush. And I like that brush just due to the size and how it fits in my crease and can easily blend out black without making it go too high. And then the second brush I would recommend would be the Sigma Domed Utility. It doesn't have the point like the Makeup Geek, but it is of similar size. And if you have slightly larger eyes, to me, then these two brushes here, they're both from Sigma, they're dome brushes. I just like this style for blending out. It's a little bit more dense, you can control it more. I used to use a brush like a MAC 217 or a Morphe M433. And these ones, if you only have this style of brush, you can still use it, but I recommend just keeping it the thin way and not buffing it too much. And you can definitely blend out the black using a style of brush like that, but it's not as dense, and I do find it easier to use a domed brush. Very specific, but these are honestly little tips that help me with a black smoky eye. As I said, I like to start off with no product. I have some right here, which we're going to blend out, but that's okay because it's going to be blended up. But if you need help blending, adding shadow always helps, but I do like to start blending it out in small motions. Do little tiny circles or back and forth, but you don't want to raise your brush up high. You just want to keep it in your actual crease. So it's touching that color that we laid down below the crease, but it's only gradually blending and buffing it out into that crease. In my experience, I do find with ABH shadows that they can be over blended and then they can start to look muddy. That's just my experience. I still love ABH, but I definitely don't feel like you need to blend as much as some eyeshadows, which isn't a negative in my opinion. So if it's sounding like a negative, it definitely isn't for me, but it's just something to be aware of when you're using it, in my experience. This eye's blending out really nicely. This one, I see a little gap in there, so I'm just going to go back, place some shadow. And then further blend that out. I like how this is personally looking. I do need to blend out slightly around the edge, especially on this eye, but I'm going to go in with that dystopian shade with a MAC 217. So this is that fluffier brush I was talking about before, not to use in the crease when you're buffing out the black. But since I only want a very light bit of this to buff in that black a little bit more, I'm going to dip that into dystopian, just a little bit, because I don't want too much of this, and just help blend out that black. And then we're going to buff out that crease with our first color, Birch. And I'm using very, very light pressure and lightly buffing out that black. I'm barely touching my eye. And then when it's looking like this, it looks nice and smoky and buffed out. I lost a little bit of that birch color, so I just want to go back in with the brush we were using for that. Again, very lightly, just go on the outer edge and deposit more of that color. And if you bring your brush too far down when doing this step, and you're bringing that brown and black further up, this is where it can start to look muddy. So just keep it high. Higher than you actually probably think, because you can always clean up the brow. So now I'm just going to clean up underneath my eyes. Any fallout, you can see there is quite a bit. I feel like with black smoky eye, eyeliner and lashes is totally optional because oftentimes you can't even see them anyways, depending on what you're using. But I am going to do a little bit of liner. I'm going to try out this Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill. And this is a lacquered liner. I haven't tried this before. It reminds me of the L'Oreal Linear Intense, that felt tip. Then for lashes, I'm just going to use my NARS Climax Mascara and pop on these Kiss Gaia lashes. They're so pretty. I've worn these, I think that's going to be my 4th time wearing them, so they're holding up quite well. While our eyelashes dry, just going to move on to the rest of the face, come back and finish off the eyes like I typically do. And for primer today, I wanted to show you guys this YSL Touche Éclat Blur Primer. It is hot pink, and I wanted to show you guys it in a video because it stays pink on the skin. It feels amazing and it looks so good underneath the foundation. I'm going to show you what I've been using. Just taking some of that on my fingers. Hot, hot pink. And I like to combat pink and red in my skin because I have enough of it already. But this really makes your face pink. Feels incredible though. Feels super smooth and silky on the skin. And it's starting to disappear somewhat, but it still remains pink. But I do really like how this looks underneath my foundation I'm going to be using. And I've fallen back in love with the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I'm going to be matching my body. I'm not going to put on a pink foundation. A few pumps of that. And then I like to use these oval brushes. This one is from MAC. I have one from Avon, just whatever oval brush to apply this. I think it works really nicely. And just apply this to the skin. Always looks different. My neck matches. Why does it look so gray? We match. Trust me, we match. For concealer, I'm going to be using my Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. And it's in the shade Almond, which is my most used color. It's nice and warm. Gives that brightening effect under the eye. So I'm just going to apply a generous amount under my eyes and in places that I highlight. With this foundation specifically, I like to set it very lightly with the Huda Beauty powder, and I have the shade Pound Cake. So I'm just going to pound a little bit into my cap. I'm going to take my big old IT Cosmetics Jumbo powder brush and just going to set my face in a couple motions. And it's hard to get the under eye. I'm just going to use a little bit on my sponge and set that with the sponge. I love how the foundation looks before setting it. However, it starts to look like that again on me, but I just like to set everything in place first. Every time I apply this powder on camera, I look washed out. And it looks like it's the settings of my camera because I noticed 2 videos and it was this powder. It's just this powder. I'm not sure why. It looks beautiful in person. I just look washed out. Completely. To bring the color and add some dimension back to the skin, we're going to bronze up right away. And I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild bronzer. And this is in You're Dragging Me Down with my Tom Ford brush. Love this. My nose is still lost in my face, so I want to contour it, and I wanted to try out this Pop Beauty Contour 101 palette. And I'm going to take that Sculpt shade and contour my nose. It doesn't have a mirror. a nice color. Now taking this highlight shade, I'm going to just clean up the nose contour a bit with it. I'm going to take a little bit on my sponge, just clean up under my cheeks. I like this color too. Then for blush, I want to use this shade in my e.l.f. Modern Metals palette, which I've been loving this palette so much. This is very, very pigmented. I've rediscovered my love for the Urban Decay Afterglow Highlighter in Sin. It's so pretty and it goes on the skin beautifully. So I've been wearing this every day again. Love it. It looks wet. This I do tend to like to use with my natural skin tone, just because it's a little bit lighter. It's still really pretty, though I prefer it when I'm a little bit more fair. I still love it. I love it so much. And get a little itty bitty pencil brush to do the nose.
So I'm crazy.
I almost put that up my nose. You saw it, didn't you? Most of November has been products that I've rediscovered, like this one. So many rediscoveries. Using that dome brush I was using for Makeup Geek earlier, pointed crease brush. Just going to clean it off a bit because there was some excess black. Then go in with Birch again. Get a little closer. I love this color. I don't like it too blown out. I'm just cleaning it up. That's what I was doing right there. That highlight powder works as a nice little cleaner upper. Then we're gonna line the waterline, and I'm using my MAC Dusk Till Dawn eyeliner, and this is in Blackout, is the official name. I'm just going to put this in my waterline. Then taking a little bit of Noir on an angled brush, just going to put this very close to the lash line and smudge it and set it in place. And you can make this more dramatic by smoking out the black more. I got a little bit of fallout. I'm just going to load up on the lower lash mascara. The more this mascara dries out, the better it is for my lower lashes. I loved it initially, but I like it even more now. For lips, I'm going to outline with my lip cheat from Charlotte Tilbury in Pillow Talk, just lightly, because the majority of the color is going to be the lipstick. And then for lipstick, I'm using MAC Influentially It, which is one of their new powder kiss lipsticks. And then to set my face, I'm just going to use some Fix Plus. I feel like I'm forgetting something. A library book too, maybe? We're gonna dry down, do the hair, come back, finish her off. this is the completed look. I hope you guys enjoyed my tips and tricks on how to create your own black smoky eye. I know it can be very intimidating, and black smoky eyes go through a very ugly stage. I find several ugly stages when I'm trying to blend it out and I want to give up before I even complete it. Just keep trying, go slow, use light pressure, and really pay attention to the brushes that you're using because they can definitely make a difference depending on the size of your eyes. Please give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more videos like this. I hope you enjoyed the mix of something old, something new. Keep that going. So thanks again, and I will see you guys all in my next video.